Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Bright Like a Supernova by BillyBobGoat. I'm going to become king of the pirates. No, I'll be even bigger. Even if it's just for a moment, I'll be greater than Roger ever was. But what shines brighter than a star? Adios.
It seems I've underestimated you, Straw Hat, Mihawk proclaimed. A fire, rare to be kindled within him, now blazed for all to see. He readied his stance with manic glee. Now then, let's see what more tricks you have up your. Thump. A sound echoed across the battlefield, silencing everything in its wake. Even Mihawk, engrossed in the clash, froze. None of them had considered the possibility of this fight ending so soon, until it happened. Luffy collapsed with all the force of a piano dropped from the 11th floor. Luffy, Straw Hat, Cabin Boy. Desperate cries flooded the air, pleading for Luffy to stand, to show any sign that he was still alive. Mihawk, stunned for a brief moment, quickly composed himself. Sheathing his sword, he strode over to Luffy's limp form, his shadow looming over the fallen captain. Was that it? Mihawk asked, a flicker of disappointment passing through his eyes, quickly hidden behind his usual stoic gaze. With what little strength remained, Luffy flipped himself onto his back, grinning up weakly but with that same unshakable determination. Why yeah, after you cut me, I knew I didn't have long. Tears began welling in the corners of his eyes. I knew I had to land a decisive blow, but, his voice cracked. I knew it wouldn't have been strong enough to beat you, Luffy screamed, pouring his frustration into the heavens. And all the while bearing his increasingly iconic grin. Damn it. Tears and snot streamed down his face. Nami, Bonnie, he shouted, his arm outstretched, clenched fist aimed at the sky. Nami and Bonnie jumped in surprise. Of all the things they expected, Luffy calling their names wasn't one of them. I heard you cheering for me, and even so, I still lost. If you want to leave my crew, I'll respect your decision, but, if you grant me the honor of continuing to be your captain, I promise never again to put on such a shameful display. I promise that I will never lose again. There wasn't a single person at the Bharati who could help but smile at the sheer honesty in Luffy's words. From now until the day I surpass Roger himself, Luffy shouted louder than ever, taking a deep breath, I will never lose again. For reasons they couldn't fully explain, Nami and Bonnie felt something deep stir within them, their eyes becoming glossy. Got a problem with that, strongest swordsman? Luffy asked with a playful grin. Mihawk chuckled. Not at all. Luffy, was it? Luffy nodded weakly. Well, Luffy, I would wish you luck on your journey, but I suspect that would insult you more than encourage you. Mihawk turned, walking back toward his vessel. Forget not what transpired this day. Let it fan your flames. Discover yourself, see the world, and grow strong, Luffy. Luffy mustered the strength to sit up, locking eyes with Mihawk one last time as the swordsman turned to face him. However long it takes, Mihawk continued, his voice calm but resolute, I shall await you at the top. Strive with your heart, mind, and soul to best my blackened blade. Strive to surpass me, Straw Hat Luffy. Mihawk turned away once more, heading toward his vessel. Zeph, watching the scene unfold, let out a laugh, stroking his beard, much to his staff's confusion. He spoke aloud, his voice full of nostalgia. I knew it before, but to think that the very same quarry boy who used to run around with our custom as orders would reach such heights. Everyone else couldn't help but chuckle at the sentiment. As Mihawk finished his final remark, Don Krieg spoke up, cutting through the quiet. Hey, Hawkeye, didn't you come for my head? The head of Don Krieg, ruler of the East Blue? That certainly was my intention, Mihawk replied calmly. But I've had my fun, now, I think I'll take a nap. Oh, I don't think so, Krieg growled, a menacing smile spreading across his face. You've had your fun, but I've only been on the receiving end. And your fight with that brat, surely, it's weakened you. His crew began to sweat profusely. The tension was so thick it could be cut with a knife. Don Krieg, please don't, Don Krieg? If the man wants to leave, for the love of God, let I am go. Without warning, A barrage of red lasers erupted from Krieg's massive mechanical arms, streaking toward Mihawk. How foolish. You are quite the slow learner. In an instant, slashes faster than the eye could follow dispelled Krieg's attack. The sheer force of Mihawk's strikes seemed to tear the sea itself apart, sending the wreckage of Krieg's ship, and many of his men, into the depths. A chorus of panicked screams, quadruple AR, echoed across the battlefield as waves rose, threatening to swallow what remained of Krieg's armada. To you, Krieg. I hope never to suffer the displeasure of seeing you again, Mihawk said coldly, his silhouette disappearing from the battlefield, leaving only chaos in his wake. Luffy! Nami cried out, leaping into action. She agilely navigated the debris, hopping from platform to platform, racing to save him. When she reached Luffy, she tried to lift him, but his body was deceptively heavy for someone his size. Before she could react, a massive wave loomed over them, ready to crash down and drag them into the sea. In an instant, the wave exploded into a harmless shower of water. Are you two okay? Sanji called out, landing gracefully beside them. He had kicked the wave away to protect them. We're fine, but I can't lift him on my own, Nami said, her voice straining with effort. What? Sanji bent down to help but found himself facing the same problem. Luffy's was surprisingly heavy. Alright, we'll lift him together. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. With a combined effort, they managed to hoist Luffy's body up and hurriedly made their way back to the Baratie before the floating debris sank beneath their feet. Everyone had huddled around Luffy as they carried him into the Baratie, eyes filled with concern and awe. Hey kid, are you still with us? A voice called out. Back up, give him some space, another shouted. That was one hell of a show. A third chimed in, torn between worry and admiration. The Baratie crew couldn't decide if they should be impressed or concerned for Luffy. Sanji, especially, found himself lost in thought. He stole a glance at the barely conscious boy beside him. This kid, he went up against the world's best. He replayed the fight in his mind. From the way he acted, he knew he was going to lose, so why didn't he throw in the towel? It didn't make sense. If he knew the outcome, the easiest choice would have been to give up. But Luffy didn't. Instead, he fought as if surrender was never an option. Oh, you've got to be shitting me, Bonnie muttered, snapping everyone back to reality. The pirates were stirring, one after the other, regaining their senses. For every one that rose, 2 more followed, eyes locked on the Baratie. Reiju crossed her arms, eyes narrowing. No rest for the wicked, I suppose. Few minutes prior, now then, lads, Krieg boomed, his voice filled with false confidence. We've had some minor setbacks, but that's all behind us. The wind is in our sails. His crew shifted uncomfortably as he continued. Didn't know what I'd do with that wreck of a ship, but Hawkeye took care of that for us. I'll thank him properly, by pissing on his grave next time we meet. One pirate, hesitant but desperate for clarity, spoke up. Don Krieg, what are we gonna do without a ship? Krieg smirked and pointed ahead. You idiot, look at that floating restaurant. No one would suspect a crew of cutthroats on a silly-looking thing like that. Far better than any Navy ship. And this sea's full of wannabes trying to make a name for themselves. We'll rebuild our armada in no time. But Don Krieg, what if we run into another monster like Hawkeye? What then? Before the man could finish, a red laser pierced his skull. His body slumped to the deck, lifeless. Any other cowards got questions? Krieg asked, his voice dripping with menace. The rest of his men shouted in unison. Good. Now, remember this. No one slices through a galleon like butter without using some devil fruit or void arm. If we ever face another like him, we'll just peel the skin off his friends and family until he begs for death. Krieg grinned wickedly, the memory of past tortures still fresh in his mind. And don't forget, Red-Leg Zeph sailed the Grand Line for a year. His logbook holds the key to conquering it. If we get that, Roger's treasure will be ours. Lose it? We'll squeeze the information out of him, one way or another. His men, invigorated by Krieg's twisted plan, roared in agreement. Present, all right, you sea dogs. Let's catch ourselves a big one. Krieg's battle cry rang out, igniting the frenzy. A chorus of "Yar" followed as the pirates rushed toward the Baratie. Why the hell are they so fired up? Bonnie growled, fists clenched. Sanji took a long drag from his cigarette, exhaling slowly. If I had to guess, Krieg dangled a carrot in front of them while reminding him of the stick. Before he could say more, a soft hiss cut through the air. Reiju pinched the end of the cigarette casually. I've already set the Barati's fins to open. And how many times do I have to remind you that smoking's a bad habit? She teased, brushing ash from her fingers. Huh? Won't that just make it easier for the pirates to get on board? A cook asked, confused. You're right, Reiju replied, smirking. But better the fins take the damage than the ship. I wouldn't want the old man throwing a tantrum, she nudged Zeph playfully. What was that, sea louse? Zeph grumbled. She said you'd cry like a baby, old man, Sanji quipped with a grin. As the first wave of pirates leapt onto the fins, rushing forward, their war cries filled the air. Hand over the ship, asshats. Yeah, I'm not gonna be much help here, Nami muttered to herself. Bonnie, we should, huh? Before Nami could finish, Bonnie vaulted over the railing and sprinted toward the oncoming pirates. She reached into her hat, pulling out a pair of brass knuckles. Bonnie? The hell is she doing? Sanji was, of course, the most distraught. Mademoiselle, please come back. A pirate charged at Bonnie, cutlass raised to strike. Hey, thanks for making this easy, bitch. He swung his blade, aiming for her neck. No! Sanji yelled. WHSSSSSH, asterisk before the pirate's cutlass connected. Bonnie vanished. The man blinked in confusion, looking down to see a child in a pink aura wearing the same clothes. She was already pulling back her tiny fist for an uppercut. Asterisk fwum. Crack. The child exploded in size as she swung upward. With the momentum of her sudden growth behind her, she had sent the man flying. He crashed to the ground, seeing stars. As he struggled to stand, he noticed something odd. His clothes were baggy and his hands, small and childlike. WWHAAAAAT? He screamed, his voice high-pitched. The Krieg pirates watched in horror as their crewmate was reduced to a wailing child. Bonnie turned to face the others, a devilish grin on her face. The only asshats here is you lot. Oh, did she just turn that pirate into a kid? Patty asked, dumbfounded. Asterisk fwum. And that one's an old man now, Carne added, equally stunned. Sanji, meanwhile, was swooning. Melorine. Ah, Melorine. Even when fighting, she dances through the battlefield like a rose in the moonlight, her strikes as powerful as the ocean waves crashing against the cliffs at sunset. Forget the poetry, Patty grinned. She's given him the good ol' one too. One by one, every pirate Bonnie punched would either turn into a crying baby or a decrepit old man. And with every pirate that was turned, Krieg only grew more furious. Are you all so incompetent that a single woman is pushing you back? Kireg screamed at his crew. If you can't get close to her, shoot her. The once feared pirates suddenly found new resolve. Bonnie's shoulders sagged as she noticed the guns trained on her. Ah shit. Bang 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 before anyone could react. Shots rang out, only they didn't hit Bonnie. Pirates dropped like flies, collapsing one by one. You're right about that shit, Don. Everyone turned toward the Barati, where Sanji stood, leaning slightly back with two twin revolvers in his hands. He grinned as he began to speak. A couple of years ago, a few unruly patrons decided to shoot up the Barati when they realized most of our staff are in-your-face brawlers. Decided right then and there to fight fire with fire. Ever since then no one's been a quicker draw than me. Sanji grinned, his voice oozing with confidence. Keep fighting at range all you like, I'll be serving piping hot bullets to go. It didn't matter if you were across the battlefield or right at his side. You could see Krieg's veins bulging out of his skin and the steam rising from them. Damn you all. He raised his arms, readying an attack, but this time, it wasn't just his arms. His cape billowed, and red light beamed from his back, his shoulder armor glowing with an ominous, fiery hue. Oh shit, Krieg's lost it, we promise, boss, we have it all under control. Don't do it. Kireg's eyes burned with fury. Constant reminders of his inadequacies shoved into his face. Sanji had set him over the tipping point. You dare mock me? I'll scorch your insides from your asshole to that filthy mouth of yours. Balls of red light formed around Krieg, pulsing with deadly intent, ready to destroy everything in its path, even if it meant catching his crew in the crossfire. DIIEVWOOM. The red lasers fired from his body, each one writhing and slithering like a snake, honed in on its prey. As some ran, others stood their ground, closing their eyes in acceptance of their fate, all except two. Sanji and Zeph smiled reassuringly, confusing Nami, who shut her eyes with a tear rolling down her cheek. Why now? Fwum, 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 TSSSSSS's boom. Explosions rocked the battlefield, shaking even the most seasoned cooks and pirates alike. Yet Kireg remained fuming, though for a different reason this time. How? Kireg's voice cracked with disbelief. Not a single one dead. Charred, scraped, and disoriented, the pirates were mostly unharmed. Their ears rang, and they struggled to regain their bearings. But the lasers, despite their destructive power, had all exploded before making contact. That's when they saw it. Butterflies, red, orange, yellow, purple, pink, colors dancing in the air, their flames burning bright before fading into nothingness. FWOOMKRAASSSH, a vibrant comet shot toward Krieg, who barely dodged it at the last possible second. But to the experienced eye, it seemed as though he'd been yanked away by something unseen. The vibrant comet suddenly bloomed into a magnificent display. Krieg smirks, trying to hide his surprise. Looks like the waitress wasn't just a waitress after all, but a devil in disguise. Her usual short pink hair had grown into long, flowing strands, shifting from pink to red, then transitioning through brighter shades of orange. Most terrifying of all, her hair twisted around an unknown mass, resembling dead, gray vegetation, which formed into grotesque wings adorned with fluttering butterflies. He reached for the helmet, which he placed firmly over his head, and changed his voice. Unfortunately, devils sink in these seas, Kireg sneered, his robotic voice dripping with malice as he taunted Reiju, threatening her with a watery grave. Reiju scoffed. So I've heard. Why don't you take a dip? Give me an example I'll remember. She backhandedly commented, shifting into a combat stance. One foot behind the other, her back foot pivoted and her torso twisted, preparing to unleash a devastating kick. She launched herself toward him, her leg cocked back in a perfect arc, ready to shatter his defenses. Swoosh thwack, Krieg barely managed to raise his armored arm to block, but the force was too great to deflect. Her kick landed solidly, sending versus frame. Using her wings for momentum, Reiju twisted her body midair, her foot connecting with his mechanical jaw in a devastating strike. Krek. The impact left a sizable fracture across the lower portion of Krieg's helmet, a spiderweb of cracks revealing faint glimpses of the monstrous fury behind the mask. He staggered, his balance momentarily compromised. But Reiju wasn't unscathed. Her ankle wrenched unnaturally from the force of her attack. HRNG, Reiju grunted as she instinctively applied weight to the injured foot, a sharp pain shooting through her leg. Krieg's eyes gleamed through the fractured mask. He saw the opening. With a guttural roar, he lunged forward, bringing down an overhead strike with all his might. Reiju crossed her arms above her head to block, but the sheer weight behind Krieg's blow, combined with her unstable footing, was too much. Karish. The blow connected, a tidal wave of force crashing down on her. She collapsed into the rubble below, stone and debris crumbling beneath her as she hit the ground hard. Krieg wasn't finished. His towering form loomed above her as he raised his foot, intent on crushing her where she lay. Reiju rolled to the side just in time, and the ground where she had been shattering under the force of his stomp. She pushed herself to her feet, limping but determined, keeping her distance. The air around Krieg crackled with energy as crimson orbs began forming around him, glowing with lethal intensity. Die already, he roared, unleashing a relentless volley of searing red lasers. VWOOOOM. With a powerful beat of her makeshift wings, Reiju soared into the air, but the lasers pursued her relentlessly, slithering like venomous serpents. A shimmering trail of butterflies cascaded from her wings, swirling into 6 distinct figures. The glowing shapes coalesced into clones, mirages of Reiju herself, each formed from the fluttering swarm. The clones darted and weaved, moving as if alive, their forms momentarily fooling Krieg's lasers. Boom boom boom. The lasers struck the clones, which exploded into cascades of scattered butterflies, a fiery dance of color against the backdrop of destruction. Reiju gazed down, expecting a furious Krieg, but instead, she was met with an unsettling calm. Even behind his fractured mask, there was an air of confidence, a sinister assurance radiating from him. Suddenly, a hiss of steam erupted from the cracks in his armor, obscuring his face momentarily before dissipating. The fractured mask began to mend itself, mechanical segments clicking into place with unnerving precision. Beneath him, the mechanical plates surrounding his beam ports shifted with a grating screech, their shapes contouring and reshaping. For a split second, Reiju caught a glimpse of what lay beneath. Raw, pulsating muscle glistening with heat, exposed briefly before the plates sealed over it again. "If this is a battle of tricks," Krieg sneered, his voice reverberating with a metallic echo, "then I can assure you that you're outmatched in ways you can't begin to imagine." *BB boom. Explosions erupted in quick succession, two barely missing Krieg, while one hit him dead on. As the smoke began to rise, an uproarious cheer echoed from the upper deck of the Bharati. In the restaurant's upper floor, 3 smoking cannons jutted from the windows, accompanied by the triumphant hollering of the loudest duo aboard. "We nailed that bastard," Patty roared, pumping his fists. A vein bulged on Carne's temple as he spun on his companion. You blind squid. You missed twice. 2 shots and nothing. That last hit was mine, you damned bald octopus." "What was that?" "You heard me, you overcooked calamari." Before their argument could escalate, a colossal mechanical arm swept through the smoke, revealing Krieg standing unscathed. His suit gleamed as he brushed away the dust left behind. "What the hell?" Carne blurted. Patty's rage hit its peak. "What kinda hole did you crawl out of? Our long nines can punch holes through a line of galleons. You should be in more pieces than chopped liver." Krieg's lips moved as he muttered something, his tone low and dismissive. "Huh? Speak up, I can't hear you," Patty yelled. Krieg scoffed, striding toward a massive fallen mast. Without a word, he bent down and hoisted the colossal timber effortlessly over his head. "I am Don Krieg, ruler of the world's seas," he bellowed, his voice booming. "And I don't have time for your pathetic games." With a furious roar, he hurled the mast toward Bharati, anger and wounded pride clouding his judgment. "What?" Patty shrieked. "Whoa! What strength? It's monstrous," Carne shouted, his voice cracking in disbelief. Panicked cries erupted from the Bharati staff. It's gonna hit the restaurant." From her vantage point, Reiju crossed her arms, watching the chaos unfold. "I must have hit his head harder than I thought. One minute he's trying to take over the ship, the next he's trying to destroy it." She smirked, shaking her head. "Oh well. Like that idiot will ever let it hit the Bharati." A blur of black shot out from the restaurant. Thwack. Moving so fast, it split the mast clean in 2. As the debris rained down, gasps rose from the onlookers, who stared in awe at the figure standing amidst the falling splinters. "Sanji I," the cooks cried out, their voices ringing with relief and pride. Krieg froze, his expression twisted in disbelief. With a single kick? Krieg's goons recoiled at the display of power. "Ain't he a marksman? Where'd all that strength come from?" "You've gotta be kidding me." From afar, Krieg narrowed his eyes, watching intently. "HMPH. That she-devil used the same form. Is it the technique itself? Or is there something about them? Why don't you find out for yourself?" Reiju's voice cut through the chaos as she launched herself from above, her leg arcing downward in a vicious axe kick. Krieg barely had time to twist out of the way, the sheer force of her strike cracking the deck where he once stood. "Yeah, Sanji. Kick ass and take names," Bonnie cheered, pumping her fists. Sanji turned toward her, heart practically bursting from his eyes. "Oh, Melorine." Zeph remained silent, watching his disciple with an unreadable expression. "Sanji, you jerk. You had to wait until the last second, huh?" Patty and Carne stormed down from the upper deck, joining the others on the battlefield. Sanji, expression blank, shrugged. "Yeah, so? Yeah? That's all you have to say? You're damn lucky my heart's still collecting itself, or I'd knock you upside the head." A voice, cool and condescending, cut through their bickering. "And that's why cooks ought to stay in the kitchen." All eyes turned to the Krieg pirates, now standing tall, their bodies battered and bloodied, but their resolve burning brighter than ever. "Wise up and stay on dry land," one of them sneered. "Don't think we're cut from the same cloth as some two-bit thugs." One by one, the remaining Krieg pirates straightened, the unconscious bodies of their fallen comrades at their feet. "Our captain is Don Krieg, Lord of the East Blue," another declared. "And if you want us to stop, you'll have to wring out every last drop of blood from us." Meanwhile, the Bharati's cooks lay scattered across the deck, bruised and gasping for air. "Damn, these bastards are tough," one of them wheezed. "Aye, we've chased off schools of sharks with less fight than these clowns." Patty and Carney's faces twisted in fury. Patty snarled, "What are you swabs lying around looking defeated for? I thought we were fighting cooks, not wimps." Carney jabbed a finger at the Krieg pirates. "And what's with all that tough talk? Save the cut from a different cloth bullshit for someone who's scared of you pissants." The Krieg pirates let out a collective roar, charging toward the Bharati's defenders. "What a bunch of lousy weaklings. Spare yourself the embarrassment and leave the fighting to real men. Hand over the grub joint," as the mob surged forward, voice steady. "We've been cooks for the past 10 years, working in over 300 restaurants, and every single time, we got the boot. It's funny looking back, but back then, that was the lowest point in our lives." Carney picked up the energy, his voice booming. "After years of wandering like bums, we finally found a home. A place where you can dish out plates and fists to your heart's content." They hefted their oversized cutlery, muscles tensing as they prepared to strike. "Our sob story ain't unique, there are dozens of chefs here, with stories just like ours. But that's what makes the Bharati one of a kind. So what makes you think we'd ever hand it over to bilgewater rats like you?" With a battle cry, they swung. With a single swing of their weapons, scores of enemy pirates are sent flying, their bodies ragdolling across the deck. As their onslaught continues and Krieg's men fall at their hands, one of the goons stammers. "How many devils does this single ship have?" just before being knocked out by Patty. "Taste the power of the sea cooks," Carney roars. Their numbers dwindle, and a few pirates instinctively step back, until they notice something. A strange bubbling rises near the platform, and realization dawns on them. A malicious grin spreads across their faces. They know exactly what's coming next. Carney yells over to Patty, "That's 14, Patty lets out a booming laugh. "Rookie numbers. You're still 5 behind, Carney. Ah ha 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 ha." But then, a calm voice cuts through the air like a blade. "Now, why are you two having such a good time?" Both chefs whip around, muscles tensing. "What the? How'd they? Too slow." Boom. A devastating blow sends them both crashing to the deck, bloodied and dazed. Ha! 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 The invincible Pearl makes his magnificent entrance. Peerless in strength and grandeur, Pearl stands over the fallen cooks, arms spread wide as he narrates his arrival. The Krieg pirates, now emboldened, sneer with confidence. A towering figure loomed over the sprawled-out cooks. 2 massive iron plates shielded his chest and back, while 6 smaller plates reinforced his knees, elbows, and hands. Most strangely, however, were the dozens of small clay jars fastened along the exposed parts of his body. One of the chefs shouts, "Patty, Carney, you still with us?" Pearl laughs, his voice booming. "Ha, ha, I'd be shocked if they were. After all, they just took a direct hit from my killer punch," the Pearl surprise. A pirate kneels next to Patty's fallen form, eyeing the kitchen knife strapped to his waist. "Been wanting this beauty since I first laid eyes on it." He unsheathes his current dagger, tossing it aside. "Guess today's my lucky day." He reaches for the knife. Bang! A gunshot cracks through the battlefield. Searing pain shoots through the pirate's arm. His forearm shot clean through. The knife slips from his grasp. "Aargh!" he howls, clutching his bleeding arm. The blade barely falls an inch before a new hand snatches it mid-air. Through the haze of pain, the pirate looks up, only to see Sanji. Knife in one hand, smoking revolver in the other. Before the pirate can react, thwack, Sanji's foot collides with his throat. Whoosh, the force sends him flying, wham, 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 knocking over 3 others before slamming into Pearl's massive shield. Clang! The bodies slump at Pearl's feet with heavy thuds. The pirate who tried to steal Patty's knife lifts his head weakly, vision blurring. His mouth barely forms words. Wah, whappened. Sanji exhales a stream of smoke. To a chef, a knife isn't just a tool to cook with. A chef's knife is his soul. A few cooks notice his cigarette has burned a little shorter. He kneels, handing Patty his knife. You didn't have to go all out. Ha, ha, Patty weakly chuckles. I would have laid him out flat, then that Pearl bastard right after. Ha, ha. Sanji smirks. Yeah, yeah. Keep dreaming. He stands, rolling his shoulders. Now hold that tight while I clean up the scraps. Laughter erupts around him. Big man thinks he can take us on. He'll handle us, huh? As if some lousy cook could ever beat us. One pirate lunges, sword thrusting straight into Sanji's chest. Shink. Only for his blade to pass through nothing but an afterimage. Before realization can even dawn. Bang, 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 bang. 5 gunshots ring out. The 5 closest pirates drop instantly, blood splattering onto the deck. 7 more charged him, screaming, weapons raised high. R-A-A-A-A-H. They all cried in unison. Sanji, both revolvers still in hand, plants his palm against the ground. Whoosh, twisting his entire body, he unleashes a 1440-degree assault of kicks. Wham! 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 Thwack! 7 bodies hit the ground in perfect synchronization. Sanji lands lightly on his feet. Exhaling, he flicks the cylinders of his revolvers open. Empty shells fall to the ground with a chorus of ticks and tacks. He tuts. You're lucky I didn't have time to reload my babies. A dark smirk creeps onto his face. Or you'd all have more holes than Swiss cheese. Pearl steps forward, slow and deliberate. So, you took them out with a storm of bullets and kicks. Impressive. Sanji flicks his cigarette. A cook's most valuable asset is his hands. Can't risk damaging them in battle. He chuckles as he reloads his revolvers. If Marilyn and Madonna can't scratch you, then my feet will be more than enough to beat you to a pulp. Pearl scoffs. You beat me? Amusing. He spreads his arms. I fought countless battles. Life or death struggles. And I've never lost. Not once. Not a single cut. My invincibility is as certain as the ocean is blue. You fight with guns and your scrawny legs. But my whole body is a weapon. He smirks, running a hand through his hair. Not a single drop of blood has ever marred my flawless body. No cuts. No scratches. No bruises. That's how tough I am. I am Pearl, the invincible iron wall of the Krieg pirates. He strikes a pose, and I'm handsome, too. Meanwhile, away from them. Reiju lands lightly on a crooked mast, catching her breath. She glances at her brother's fight, eyeing the absurdly large man covered in shields. What the heck? Hey, she-devil, never take your eyes off your opponent. A massive mace, glowing with red plasma spikes, hurtles toward her. She moves to jump, but pain shoots through her injured ankle. She can't fully dodge. Crack! The mast shatters. She avoids the direct hit but is sent flying, still on the broken platform. As she soars through the air, she sees Krieg swinging his mace straight at her. Die! Wham! The mace smashes into her, forcing her to shield herself with her wings. The impact sends her hurtling straight into the back of Pearl's head. At the same time, Sanji's kick slams into the shield that Pearl raised to guard his face. Clang! The force from both sides collides. Pearl's head whiplashes backward into his shield. Sanji blinks. Huh? Reiju straightens, brushing dust off her suit. Phew. Thought I was gonna hit the water for a second. Wah! They both turn. Pearl is trembling. His eyes darted around in horror. His hands slowly rise to his face. To the warm, wet feeling dripping down his lips. What? His voice is barely a whisper. Then he sees it. Blood. His own, it's blood. A chilling scream erupts from his throat. Krieg removes his helmet, showing how his expression turns grim. This is bad. Suddenly, the once confident and bloodthirsty aura that the Krieg pirates as a whole once possessed was now replaced by a timid and fearful nature. Calm down, Pearl, it's gonna be okay. It's just a bloody nose. It's not a battle wound or anything. Yeah, it's probably just the change in weather. Just take it easy, please. The cooks began looking at each other in confusion. The hell are these guys about? What's going on? My invincible shield failed. Pearl wipes the blood from his lip. His breath coming in. These guys are dangerous. Sanji's brow twitches. Irritation growing. The hell's freak show on about? He's losing it over a nosebleed? Dunno, Reiju replies with a smirk. But he wouldn't have gotten to this point if you stopped messing around. Huh? What'd you say, you rotten butterfly? Quit running your damn mouth, your tar breath is gonna make me puke. Stop, Pearl. Krieg's voice cuts through the brewing argument, silencing Sanji before he can fire back. It's just a little blood. You're not in the jungle anymore. Clang clang clang. Danger. Danger. Sparks fly wildly as Pearl slams his shields together, his entire body trembling. Sanji takes a wary step back. What the hell's he doing? Some kind of ritual. FWOOOSH. Da anger. A pillar of flames erupts around Pearl, the heat forcing those nearby to recoil. The fire then condenses, coating his shields in a blazing inferno. One of the younger pirates stares, bewildered. What the hell? Oh, right. You've never seen Pearl get to this point, an older pirate mutters, warily eyeing the flames. Krieg found him in the jungle early in his career. Thought he was some exotic pet that a prissy noble tossed out. Planned to make him his own until he realized Pearl was a person. He shakes his head. Kid was abandoned and had to survive on his own. Developed a nasty habit of setting fires to keep the animals away. By the time Krieg found him, he'd already roasted about a dozen bounty hunters trying to cash in on him. Get away from me. Pearl reaches for the jars lining his torso, popping the corks to reveal the contents, oil and steel marbles. Fire Pearl. Lucky you. Woo, FWOOM. Spinning wildly, he hurls the ignited oil and marbles in every direction, immediately replacing his empty jars with new ones. Sanji and Reiju dodge the fiery barrage, though Reiju looks noticeably more panicked. The other combatants aren't as lucky, especially the invading pirates. Arg, hot, hot, hot. It burns. Pearl, please stop. The cooks, fortunately, remain outside Pearl's immediate range, though the encroaching flames quickly close in. We're surrounded, this is bad, the restaurant. Asterisk WHSSSSSH. 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 Asterisk. WHAAA. Ha, ha, ha. The desperate cries suddenly shift into a chorus of wailing infants. Bonnie stands among them, arms crossed, while Nami scrambles to gather the baby-sized cook. Both of you, stop screwing around. We're on babysitting duty because of you too. Literally, Bonnie snaps at the siblings. Nami, carrying another baby, shouts over the chaos. The seawater's only gonna make the oil fires worse. Luffy's still out, so he can't put them out. Bonnie and I will grab the rest of the cooks, then head to the kitchen for as much flour as we can carry. Ah, such capable young ladies, Sanji swoons. If you don't know, the flour is in the… Yeah, the back room to the right with all the baking supplies. Bonnie cuts him off, her voice already fading. Just focus on kicking their asses. Sanji and Reiju glance at each other and chuckle. First Luffy, now Reiju. How long has it been since we've had such capable chore people? Reiju remarks lightheartedly. Sanji looks at her, his expression softening. Never. Burn. With my flames and shields, I'm more than invincible, I'm super invincible. Krieg watches the chaos unfold, his expression twisted with frustration. Pearl, you damned fool. You'll burn the ship down with them. He growls, though no one in particular is listening. Super invincible, huh? Sanji scoffs. What else were you expecting? Reiju retorts. A well-read pirate. Pearl's face turns almost as red as the flames he's conjuring. You damn cooks. His flames roar to life once again. Flaming oil and marbles scatter through the air, expanding his fiery reach. We're doomed. A pirate screams. We're trapped between the fire and the sea. There's nowhere to go. I'd rather drown than burn alive. Suddenly, Sanji launches himself over the wall of fire separating him from Pearl. This ship isn't yours to burn. What? Clang. Pearl Barley raises his flaming shield in time to block Sanji's powerful kick. The surrounding pirates recoil in shock. What kind of lunatic jumps straight into the flames? Does he want to turn himself into a human bonfire? Even Pearl is taken aback. Wild animals wouldn't be stupid enough to jump into fire. Sanji smirks. Moron. You can't be a cook if you're afraid of fire. Pearl scowls. Damn, this one's as slick as polished silver. He pulls his fist back, ready to strike, flaming Pearl Sir. Boom. A clone of Reiju intercepts his attack, igniting on contact before violently exploding. Arg! Pearl staggers, coughing through the smoke, and looks up, just in time to see Reiju hovering outside his reach. Hey, Mr. Super Invincible, she calls, grinning as his furious glare locks onto her. I'm not the one you should be worried about. Wah! FWOOM. Schwack. Sanji bursts through the flames, hands planting firmly on the deck as he uses his momentum to deliver a brutal kick straight into Pearl's unguarded face. Krang! Pearl crashed into the ground, skidding several meters before coming to a dazed stop. Whoa, he did it, he got past Pearl's invincible shield. That's one tough cook. The surrounding pirates erupted in astonishment. UMFF, MRFB. How dare you, Pearl sputtered, struggling to speak through a mouthful of shattered teeth. Danger. Big danger. He frantically grabbed more jars than he could hold before hurling them forward with reckless abandon. Eat Pearl's ball of fire. The remaining, non-baby cooks screamed in distress. Wah! He'll burn up the ship. If the fire reaches the galley, the whole ship will blow sky high. Chef Zeph. Ruun. Yet Zeph stood tall, unmoving as the blazing oil rained toward him. F whoosh whoosh, clomp clomp clomp. Balanced on one of his wooden legs, he swiftly swung the other in a sweeping arc, snuffing out every ember with sheer force. The clicking sound of marbles hitting the deck followed. How pitiful! Zeph scoffed, lowering his leg. Even an old codger with 1 foot can put out your flames. His eyes bore into Pearl. Your fire isn't fit for cooking, not even for toasting bread. The Bharati cooks erupted into cheers. Hooray, you're the greatest chef. I can't believe it, he put out all those flames with just the wind from his kick. The enemy pirates, however, were far less enthusiastic. How did he do that? It can't be, red-leg Zeph. He's still alive and kickin'. Their panic was cut short by the booming voice of Krieg, accompanied by the heavy clatter of chains. You always have to complicate things, don't you, Pearl? Krieg growled. With a powerful yank, he reeled back his massive spiked mace, muscles flexing in anticipation. Before you go setting fire to that ship, he swung the weapon in a vicious arc, aiming straight for both Sanji and Pearl. I'll get rid of all you nuisances in one fell swoop. Whoom! Sanji's instincts screamed at him to move, but the flames surrounding him were too high. There wasn't enough space to build momentum for a jump. Crap! 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 The massive mace hurtled toward them, promising certain destruction. I don't want to die, Pearl blubbered, whoosh. A sudden blur of motion streaked through the fire. Reiju! No! Sanji's heart nearly stopped. From her vantage point above, Reiju had dived headfirst toward the incoming mace, gathering incredible speed. But she had flown too low. FWOOM. She caught fire mid-dive, and yet, she didn't stop. Wunk! Whoom! Like a flaming comet, she crashed into the massive hunk of metal, launching it back toward Krieg with tremendous force. The mace slammed into the base of an already weakened mast. The wood groaned, splintering under the impact. KRRK, 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 asterisk, and then, it collapsed. Kaboom! Right where Sanji, Reiju, and Pearl were standing. Shit! Sanji and Reiju, who were managed to roll out of the way. Pearl, however, was not so lucky. Whump! The mast crashed down directly onto his head, snuffing out his flaming body along with his consciousness. Reiju! Sanji wasted no time, throwing off his jacket and using it to frantically beat the flames off her. Ah! Damn it! Ah! Reiju cried out, her voice strained with pain. Sanji! Heads up! Bonnie's voice rang out. Sanji turned just in time to see a bag of flour flying toward him. FWUMP. He caught it mid-air and immediately tore it open, dumping the contents over Reiju while still patting at the remaining embers. As the smoke cleared, he crouched beside her, panting. "You okay?" he asked, placing a hand on her back. Reiju, still lying on the deck, turned her head toward him with an exhausted yet mischievous grin. "Yeah, I feel like a powdered donut." Sanji blinked, then burst into laughter. "Hey! Ha, ha, ha!" Bonnie and Nami, covered in flour themselves from fighting the flames, let out a collective sigh of relief. Cree-crack. Arg. The brief moment of respite was shattered by a pained cry and the sound of breaking wood. Heads whipped around toward the source. Jin stood over Zeph, a double-barrel shotgun aimed at the old chef's head. The legs of Zeph's wooden prosthetics lay shattered on the deck. A cold silence fell over the battlefield. Feeling the weight of their hostility, Jin pressed his boot against Zeph's back. "Calm down, everyone." He cocked the shotgun, the click echoing in the tense air. It'd be a shame if something happened to the old man, wouldn't it? Sanji's fists clenched. Jin, you, Reiju, still recovering, forced herself onto one elbow. "Leave him alone, bastard." Bonnie had her thoughts to share. "You damned coward," she bellowed, rage flaring in her eyes. "When I get my hands on you, I'll turn you into a baby and punt you into the neighboring sea." Jin opened his mouth before quickly cutting himself off. Don't even try it, Sanji." Sanji flinched, stopping himself just before reaching for his revolvers. "Or go ahead," Jin taunted, his voice laced with deadly amusement. "See if your hands are fast enough to reach your triggers before I pull mine." He pressed his boot harder against Zeph's back. "I couldn't care less if he's a living legend, right now, he's just a cook with two bum legs. He couldn't stop me from splattering his brains if he tried." A tense silence hung in the air. Patty, Carne, and several other cooks glanced down at Zeph's feet, where his shattered wooden peg legs lay in splinters. "That scalawag. The bilge rat." Nami's temper finally boiled over. "Who the hell do you think you are?" She was ready to stomp Jin's face into the deck at the first opportunity. "Nami." Reiju's voice cut through the tension. "Let's hear what he has to say before we do anything rash." Nami, taken aback, hesitated. She clenched her fists but made no effort to hide the pure venom in her glare. Jin let out a dry chuckle. "You siblings care a lot for this old man, don't you, Sanji? Reiju?" He narrowed his eyes. "If you want the chef to live, then all of you, get off this ship." Murmurs spread among Krieg's pirates. "Thank goodness. I was afraid Pearl wouldn't be able to get back up. Good thing Jin was here." Reiju tilted her head, her voice dripping with condescension. "Get off this ship, you say?" Sanji exhaled a slow puff of smoke before calmly finishing her thought. "We refuse." The response sent the Bharati crew into a frenzy. "What the hell? Are you trying to get Zeph killed? Don't provoke him, you idiots." But Sanji and Reiju ignored the panicked cries of their fellow cooks. Instead, Sanji's gaze locked onto Zeph. "You look pathetic, old man." "Yeah," Reiju added, arms crossed. "Bharati is home to the fighting cooks. Just what kind of example are you setting for the class here?" Zeph's brow twitched. His patience, already razor thin. "HMPH, I don't need lip from you two damn eggplants." Reiju's eye twitched. "You always do this," she exploded, startling everyone around her. "Calling US eggplants or whatever dumb insult you can think of. Stop treating US like a pair of kids." The other chefs flinched. "Reiju, now's not the time." "Aren't they trying to save the chef?" Sanji's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Jin." He reached for his revolvers. Then, click, click, click. One by one, the bullets tumbled from the chambers, clattering onto the deck. The metallic echoes sent a chill through the air. Then, with a final thud, Sanji dropped both revolvers to the ground. "Aim the shotgun at me." His voice was calm, deadly serious. Nami's head whipped toward him, eyes wide in disbelief. "Are you insane? Are you trying to get yourself killed?" "Maybe," Sanji said flatly. The word hit harder than a shout, stunning Nami, and anyone who had known him for more than an hour. This was Sanji, the flirt, the loud mouth with a cigarette always hanging from his lips. The man who tripped over his own feet trying to impress a woman. No one ever expected this side of him, but then again, no one knew Sanji the way Reiju and Zeph did. Both of them grew frustrated, Zeph out of understanding and guilt, and Reiju out of fierce protectiveness for her brother. The chefs called out to Sanji in concern. Wah, what did he just say? Sanji. Jin could only stare blankly at him, his expression frozen. Sanji, why? If you want to die so badly, a low, menacing voice growled from behind the siblings. Then I'll polish you off like your silver. Every chef, along with Nami and Bonnie, snapped their heads toward the source of the voice, screaming at Sanji to move, duck, or fight. But he didn't even bother turning his head. Pearl's surprise. Clang. FWU wham. Sanji barely had time to react before the attack crashed into him, slamming him into the ground before sending him hurtling into the railing beside Jin and Zeph. Reiju clenched her fists, looking away as tears welled up in her eyes. Sanji, Bonnie cried. Despite his ridiculous appearance, a menacing aura draped over Pearl as he approached Sanji's limp body, his steps deliberate, his bloodlust unmistakable. Never could I have imagined that I, the invincible Pearl, would suffer 2 attacks in one battle, thus ruining my perfect streak. His voice dripped with fury, his eyes wild. For the crime of breaking my record, I will break you. Why you? Bonnie snarled, her right arm cocked back as she lunged toward Pearl, her fury palpable. Bonnie, please, Sanji's voice rang out, sharp and desperate, stopping her in her tracks. He groaned as he peeled himself off the ground, his body trembling with pain. Bonnie skidded to a stop, her fiery gaze snapping to Sanji. Why didn't you move? Why didn't you do anything, Sanji? She screamed, her voice cracking with a mix of anger and fear. Sanji leaned heavily against the railing, his vision blurry and his breath ragged. He couldn't look her in the eye without seeing double, but he forced himself to face her, his voice steady despite his condition. That shithead underling, he'll kill the chef if we make a wrong move. Damn it. Reiju's voice exploded, her fists clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. Tears welled in her eyes as she glared at Jin. We can't just pack it up and call it a day, she shouted, her voice trembling with anguish. It isn't that simple. What's so hard about it? Jin shot back, his voice expression hardened. All you have to do is hit the road, and you all walk out alive. What's so difficult about that? Sanji gritted his teeth, forcing himself to stand straighter despite the pain coursing through his body. This ship is the geezer's pride and joy. He roared, his voice carrying a weight that silenced the chaos around him. Jin staggered back, his expression twisting in confusion. What? He muttered, his voice barely audible. The chefs exchanged bewildered glances, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Sanji, I always thought chef. Reiju's tears spilled over as she spoke, her voice breaking. It's our fault, we took what was most precious from him. The chefs stared at her, their confusion deepening. Reiju's voice rose, raw and filled with regret. His strength, his dreams, everything. She looked up at the sky, as if pleading for answers, her tears glistening in the sunlight. That's why, Sanji's voice cut through the tension, low but resolute. That's why we'll never let anything be stolen from him again. The declaration hung in the air, leaving pirates and chefs alike stunned into silence. Rubbish like that has no place in my presence, Zeph barked, his voice sharp but tinged with something unspoken. You eggplants ought to know that by now. Sanji, leaning heavily on the railing, pushed himself upright, his voice rising with defiance. Shut up, Reiju's right. You can't keep treating us like kids forever. Sanji, look out, Patty's warning came too late. Xian Pearl had closed the distance in an instant, his massive shield slamming into Sanji's head with a sickening crunch. Sanji's body crumpled, his vision swimming as he teetered on the edge of consciousness. Sanji groaned, his voice barely audible. BWAH, ha, ha, ha. Pearl's laughter boomed, his voice dripping with sadistic glee. How did you like my Pearl symbols? BWAH, ha, ha, ha. Sanji. The chef's voices rang out in unison, their cries filled with desperation. Grr, Bonnie's fists trembled, her rage boiling over as she watched her friend being brutalized. Nami stood frozen, her rage colder and more calculated. A vein bulged on her forehead, her silence more terrifying than any outburst. Reiju turned her face away, her shame and helplessness etched into every line of her expression. Her younger brother, battered and broken, lay motionless on the deck. Flump asterisk Pearl stepped back, his grin widening as he prepared for his next move. All this drama bores me, he sneered, his voice dripping with malice. With a running leap that defied his size and the weight of his armor, Pearl soared into the air, his massive frame casting a shadow over Sanji's limp body. Pearl diver. Bonnie shot a venomous glare at Jin. This is cheap, and you know it. We fight to keep what's ours, Brad. Jin roared back, his voice filled with venom. You brought this on yourselves. If you'd just hand over the damn boat to start with, you could have gone in peace. Tarnished silver. Karne's voice was desperate, pleading. Get out of the way, Sanji. Surprise. Wam. Ah. Sanji's cry of pain echoed across the deck, a sound that sent a chill through everyone present. Some of the chefs fell to their knees, clutching their heads in anguish. You son of a bitch, one of the chefs screamed, his voice raw with fury. Pearl, however, paid no mind. He basked in his twisted glory, his laughter booming across the ship. BWAH, ha, 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 invincible. The chefs' voices rose in a cacophony of confusion and anger. What did you take from the chef? What happened? Tell us. Sanji's vision blurred as he drifted in and out of consciousness, his mind wandering back to how it all began, 9 years earlier aboard the passenger ship Orbit. The all blue, GAA ha, 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 Sanji glared daggers at the chef currently mentoring him. Yeah? What about it? The sudden outburst caught the attention of two off-duty chefs nearby. Nothing, nothing, the chef replied lightheartedly. Sometimes I forget you're just a kid. What's that supposed to mean? Sanji pouted. The two other chefs walked over, one of them speaking up with a nostalgic smile. We're seafaring chefs. We all dreamed of the all blue when we first started cooking. I remember being just a tyke when I heard about it, added the second. I spent weeks trying to catch an eastern leather sail, while living in the South Blue. Wah ha ha ha. GAA ha ha ha, MAAA ha ha ha. The three elder chefs burst into raucous laughter, so loud it drew the attention of a certain pink-haired waitress passing by the kitchen. Creak, asterisk the kitchen door opened. In the doorway stood a small, demure girl in a waitress outfit, clearly tailored to fit someone her size. Despite her petite frame, she carried herself with quiet poise. You guys are being loud. The captain might get mad if he hears you, Reiju said. The chefs glanced at one another before one chuckled. Thanks, Reiju. Good looking out. She nodded and approached the group. What were you laughing about, anyway? All I said was that I wanted to find the all blue, Sanji whined to his older sister. And then these guys started laughing at me. Well, I mean, just think about it, one of the older chefs said. A place with sea life from all over the world, conveniently in one location. Ignoring the geological barriers. How are all those fish supposed to gather in the same place at once with different migratory patterns? And even if they did, how could one ecosystem possibly sustain? Flunk. YEOWCH. The chef recoiled as Reiju's foot landed squarely on his shin with surprising force for someone so small. Hunched over and cradling his leg, the chef looked at her with annoyance, only for it to melt into a resigned sigh as he turned back to Sanji's misty eyes. Ha. Then again, the Grand Line itself isn't built on logic either, he said with a wistful smile. I can't imagine myself ever sailing into those treacherous waters. But one day, you'll grow up bigger and stronger than I'll ever be. Maybe you'll find your all blue there. Another chef slung an arm around him with a cheeky grin. Oi, what's this, trying to play the wise old mentor now? The remaining chef leaned closer. Unfortunately, that only works on naive kids, not seasoned guys like. MRRR. Shut up already with all that noise, the elder chef barked, grabbing both by the mouth and squeezing their cheeks. No matter how old little shits get, they'll always be little shits. HMPH, Warg, oof. He shoved them away and turned back to Sanji. Alright, enough playing around. Back to work, boys. Bust those tables, Sanji. They're not gonna clean themselves, he said, heading for the door. Alright, enough with the fairy tales, one of the chefs added, following him out. The last one stretched as he exited. You heard the old man, chop chop. The room fell quiet again, leaving young Sanji and Reiju alone. Sanji stood with a slight pout. Reiju gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Hey," she said softly, "I think it's great you have a dream. It gives you something to look forward to. Every time you fall asleep and every time you wake up." Sanji didn't respond with words, just a small nod. Later, what a waste, one of the chefs grumbled to no one in particular. They left so much food, he bit into the cold leftovers without hesitation. "Right? I cooked this one myself. But look," another chef gestured to a half-eaten dish with exaggerated flair. "I'm not about to win any Nilchime Bell awards, but I like to think I'm a decent cook," he huffed in frustration. Crunch. Munch. "Don't worry, it ain't you," the older chef muttered between bites, trying to console him. "Customers these days are too extravagant for their own good." Slurp. Plip. Plop. Plip. Plop. Plip. Sanji stood nearby, having just tossed the remains of a spoiled plate into the trash. He turned to his mentors with a slight look of disgust. "I can't believe you guys," he said flatly, disappointment in his voice. "Have some self-respect, eating leftovers like dogs. I just threw out the stuff that looked bad. We've got plenty in the stockpile, and we'll be docking in 2 days. You can hold out till then." One of the chefs scoffed, his face unreadable. "Seriously, it's like looking through a window into the past." He stared off, voice dripping with bored amusement. "I remember going through that phase, too. How ignorant I was back then," he chuckled dryly. Another chef glanced up from his plate and chimed in. Tell me about it." Then, turning to the young apprentice, he added with a grin, "Listen, Sanji, with that kind of attitude, you'll never grow out of greenhorn status. We're seafaring cooks, lad. Making the most of what little we've got is part of the job description. Out on the seas, you never know what'll happen. We don't have the luxury to waste anything." He picked up a fish carcass, stripped down to the bone, and held it out towards Sanji with a mischievous glint in his eye. "Pretty sure a lovely lady helped herself to this one. Might have added a little flavor," he teased. "What do you say? Want some?" "HMPH. No thanks," Sanji scoffed, turning his head indignantly. Later, all hell had broken loose. Eek. Wah. "Everyone, please calm down. Just calm down." Civilians and crew members darted across the deck like headless chickens. The chaos was deafening. Panicked shrieks feeding into the firestorm of confusion and fear. Sanji was visibly rattled, his small hand gripped tightly by Reiju's so they wouldn't be separated in the panicked swarm. His eyes darted through the crowd, scanning desperately for something, anything, that made sense. "Look," Sanji tugged urgently on his sister's arm, catching her attention. He pointed toward one of the chefs they'd spoken with earlier. Reiju nodded without hesitation and pulled Sanji in close, shielding him with her body as they pushed their way through the madness. The chef caught sight of them from the corner of his eye. His expression shifted immediately. Bracing himself against the crowd, he forced his way toward them. "Kids," he shouted over the din, "are you too hurt?" "No," Reiju yelled back, still clutching Sanji protectively. "What's going on? What's all this commotion?" The chef's face darkened. "It's pirates, lass," he shouted. "They're pillaging the orbit." "Pirates?" Sanji's voice cracked in disbelief. From a distant vantage point, a gruff man with a thick, imposing mustache watched the chaos unfold. His arms were crossed, posture calm, too calm, as he observed the panic with calculating eyes, silently plotting his next move. Below deck, the non-combatants had been herded to safety, or at least, further from danger. But the fear hadn't left. If anything, it was building, pressing in like a slow suffocation. "I know what I saw, damn it," an unruly man shouted, drawing everyone's attention. It was a Jolly Roger. With a duck wearing a chef's hat, and the crossbones were a knife and fork. There's only one crew with a flag like that. Murmurs erupted. Faces went pale. "Oh my seas, it's the Cook Pirates. It has to be them." "If that's true, then," someone screamed, panic overwhelming them. "Red Leg Zeph is back from the Grand Line, and he's on this ship." BWHUM, crew members tackled him, trying to stop the panic from spreading. "We're all gonna die." The tension was unbearable. Not even a knife could cut through it. Sanji trembled in Reiju's arms. Her glare burned into the middle distance, directed at no one and everyone. Meanwhile, on the main deck, The orbit's guards and captain faced the infamous raiders head-on. No one spoke. Only Ton of the orbit finally broke the silence. "Captain, Red Leg, Zeph, I presume." His voice wavered, but his stance held firm. "Is there any way we can settle this peacefully?" Zeph's eyes didn't flinch. "Take it all," he ordered. In an instant, the pirates exploded into motion. Raw. "Strip this place clean." Guards fought to hold the line as pirates spilled into the ship's interior, deeper and deeper, toward the terrified civilians. "Ah! Gimme that! Ah!" People stampeded for the exits, trampling each other. A lucky few escaped the bottleneck and scattered into the corridors, including Reiju and Sanji. But fate was cruel. "Sanji! Sanji!" Reiju cried. The chaos had torn them apart. Oh, in the kitchen, young Sanji stood alone, eyes locked on a pair of heavy cutlasses. Damn it, he thought, jaw clenched. "I won't let them hurt Reiju, I won't let them kill me." FWASH, THOOM, "Cap'n, we'd better hurry, or we ain't making it out of this storm alive," one pirate called out. "I know," Zeph replied grimly. Dark clouds cloaked the sky. The storm had arrived like a monster summoned by the chaos below. Winds howled. Rain lashed like needles. Waves tossed the ships like paper boats in a tempest. Chenk, Zeph turned. From one of the salvaged bags came a strange sound, thuds, not clinks, not valuables. He approached. "Hey," Zeph barked. The crew member who'd thrown the bag froze. Zeph walked up behind him, looming like death. "We playing games now?" "I am sorry," the pirate yelped. "I just got sick of the food on board the Cooking George, wanted to try something new." KROOOSH, Zeph's kick launched him across the deck, crashing into a wall of crates. The entire ship paused. KRK, 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 KLANK. "Nah." The pirate groaned from the wreckage. Zeph marched over and grabbed him by the head. "We never touch another man's food," he growled. Aye, sir." Zeph slammed him down again. "How many times do I gotta tell you dumb eggplants?" "Sanji." "No." Reiju's voice rang out. Zeph turned, just in time to see a yellow-haired boy charge, knives in hand. Reiju jumped in front, shielding Sanji. "Dang, you drew blood," one pirate said, showing a nick on his arm. "What if it gets infected, huh?" he joked half-heartedly. His crewmate stepped in, voice serious. "Kid, stop swinging those knives. Someone's gonna get hurt." "Go away," Sanji screamed, still pointing one cutlass with trembling hands. "I'm not letting you sea snakes lay a finger on me or my sister." Reiju whirled on him, furious. "Shut up, already." Others chimed in. "Belay that, Sanji, don't resist. You'll get us all killed. Kid, isn't he one of your cooks? Do something." Zeph's voice cut through the commotion like a blade. "If the brat wants to die, let him. Kill him." Sanji screamed. "You'll kill us anyway. So what does it matter? I'll kill you first." Zeph then surged forward with a kick, intent on teaching this brat a lesson. K-lonk, only for Reiju to block it with her forearms. Smoke rose from the impact. "Our Reiju?" someone gasped. Zeph looked at her, arms shaking, jaw tight. "You're a tough little freak, aren't ya?" he muttered. KRAASSH. Reiju flew backward, Zeph's kick striking her temple. "Fortunately, I've dealt with freaks before. You damn PIRA. Thud, MMFF." Sanji lunged, only to be kneed in the face. He collapsed at Zeph's feet. "Sanji!" "Reiju!" Cries rang out from every corner of the ship. "Chomp, asterisk. Huh?" Zeph looked down. Sanji was biting his boot. "Someday," the boy growled, teeth clenched. I'm gonna find the all blue." KSSSHHHH, asterisk. The rain's roar filled the silence. Then, bawahahahaha. "You hear that? Little man's got a big dream." "Cap'n, you kicked the dumb into him. There's no all blue, brat, not even in the Grand Line." The pirates all jeered and mocked. "He's still on that nonsense?" one of the chefs muttered. Crash! Another kick. Sanji slammed into the wall. Onlookers watched helplessly. Sanji, Reiju staggered toward him. "Are you?" "I." Sanji coughed up blood. I won't die in a place like this, not to you crab pirates. Zeph looked at the boy, broken, defiant, burning. Then came the call. Cap'n, storm's getting worse. We gotta go now. Zeph lingered a moment, his eyes lingering on the siblings, now in each other's arms. His jaw tightened. One last glance. Load the treasure, we're leaving. Kroosh. The kids. A massive wave crashed over the deck and swept Reiju and Sanji along with it. Don't let go, Sanji. Ah. Splash, asterisk in that instant. Zeph made a mad dash toward the two children. Hey, Captain. Crashing. With a roar, Zeph kicked the main mast of the orbit clean in two, then dragged it down with him, straight toward the spot where the siblings had fallen. These crap kids were the last words he muttered before plunging into the sea, mast in tow. Sploosh. His crew rushed to the railing, eyes wide with disbelief. Captain, why would he do that? They're just a pair of brats. Whoom. Wog. A wave, towering high enough to kiss the sky, reared over the conjoined ships and came crashing down. Crack. Crack. Kraakk. Krk. Ploosh. WRRRRRRR, asterisk. The screams of all those on board were drowned beneath the groaning wails of the ships themselves, ancient, grieving sounds, as both vessels were swallowed whole by the merciless sea. Sanji slowly opened his eyes, wincing as the harsh sunlight pierced through his lids. Ugh, he groaned, shielding his face. Sanji. Reiju cried out, scrambling from where she sat and rushing to him. She tried to lift him into her arms, desperate for an embrace, but his sore body cried out in pain the moment she touched him. Arg! Reiju flinched at his pained reaction, then gently helped him sit up instead. Once upright, she finally wrapped her arms around him, holding him close. I'm so glad you're awake, she whispered, her voice trembling against his ear. I told her not to lose sleep over ya, came a gruff voice. Sanji turned his head slightly, peering past Reiju's shoulder to see a rugged pirate, red-legged Zeph, staring out at the endless sea. Why you're that pirate? Ow? OWCH, Sanji tried to lunge forward, rage flashing in his eyes, but his battered body gave out under the strain. Don't move, Reiju scolded sharply. You're still recovering from his kicks. Her tone soured, and she shot Zeph a sideways glare. Sanji froze, breathing heavily, before another thought hit him like a thunderclap. The ship. Reiju's expression darkened. Zeph sighed. The maelstrom took it, boy. Judging by the wreckage, he paused, solemnly scanning the debris-strewn shore. I'd wager we're the only ones who made it out. Sanji looked around. Bits of shattered wood surrounded them in every direction. It's cold comfort, Zeph muttered. Neither of us has seen a single corpse. The storm was 2 days ago. You three got thrown onto this rock. Your sister came to sometime yesterday. He glanced at Reiju, then back at Sanji. Somehow, she's in better shape than both of us. She graciously offered to scout the place. His voice was heavy with sarcasm. HMPH. Reiju pouted, crossing her arms. Unfortunately, Zeph continued, this so-called island isn't worth more than a 2-minute tour. No plants. No animals. Not even enough salvage to fish or build a decent shelter. He pinched the bridge of his nose and exhaled. Worst part? The rock's been carved smooth by the tides. The cliff edges hang clean off the sides. If you fall, that's it, no getting back up. No escape. No food, he muttered grimly. Makes you want a ball, don't it? He added with a dry chuckle. Not us, Reiju said defiantly. Yeah? Sanji snapped, glaring daggers. This is your fault. I'll bash your head in. Quit your damn yappin', Zeph barked, standing. I may be an old man, but I've still got enough in me to crush both your skulls and crack open your bones for the marrow, he growled, ill grin. He strode over to 2 bags, one much larger than the other. All we can do now is wait. If we're lucky, a ship will pass by tomorrow. If not, he shrugged, we rot into sun-bleached bones. Bones? Sanji sputtered, paling. Reiju could feel him trembling in her arms. She hugged him tighter, hoping to offer what little comfort she could. Zeph dropped the smaller bag in front of them. Here's your cut. He hoisted the bigger bag over his shoulder and grabbed the smaller one with ease. Some food floated ashore, he said. Not much. Normally, it'd last 5 days, tops. But lucky for us, 2 out of 3 here know how to cook. Means we might stretch it out longer. Lucky? Reiju snapped. That bag of yours is 3 times bigger than ours? You damn eggplant. I'm 3 times bigger than the 2 of you combined. The siblings glared up at him. Zeph exhaled through his nose. Ha. Fine. Be mad at me. Rage all you want. It won't get you off this damned rock. And no matter how different one of you is built, I'll break you both if you push me. His tone dropped, cold and sharp. But every ounce of energy we waste is another bite of food we'll never get back. You bastard, Sanji spat. You should be thanking me, Zeph sneered. But fine, keep your bitterness. Just keep watch here. I'll keep my eye out on the other side. If you see a sail, holler. He started walking away. We can't waste energy crossing back and forth either, he called over his shoulder. So this'll be our last meeting. Until a ship shows up, or until the end. His silhouette faded behind jagged rocks. A man of God I am not. His voice drifted from the distance, but I'll be praying for our luck. Later that evening, the second day closed as the sun sank beneath the horizon. Reiju and Sanji sat side by side, quiet and still, watching the endless waves stretch into dusk. Sanji won't hold out as long as I can, Reiju thought, hunger gnawing at her. Sanji's stomach rumbled beside her. 5 days, if eaten normally, he thought, guilt beginning to gnaw away at him. Then he looked at his sister. But I'm the cook. If anyone's gonna stretch this food out, for her, it has to be me. We won't die here, Sanji suddenly shouted, startling Reiju. She blinked, then turned to him with a tearful smile. No, we won't, will we? She said softly, hope glimmering in her eyes. Meanwhile, we won't die here. Hey, loud little brat, Zeph muttered, chewing on a stick as he tightened a tourniquet around his leg. He gritted his teeth, eyes narrowing as he picked up a jagged stone and lifted it high. We'll make it out, all of us, he vowed silently. And then, with a grunt of finality, he brought the rock down hard on his leg. Blood splattered across the ground, across his face. He raised the stone again. Even if it means killing Red Leg Zeph, we'll survive this rock. Third day. That damn crap geezer, Sanji muttered under his breath as he organized the food from the bag, while Reiju kept watch for any passing ships. Hey Reiju. Even if we see one, we're not gonna let him know, right? Of course, she replied coldly, her eyes scanning the seemingly endless stretch of water before them. He can rot on the other side of this rock while we live our best lives. As Sanji finished organizing the supplies, he spoke again, a hopeful lilt in his voice. You know, we were just 2 days away from docking at the orbit. Maybe the captain called ahead and told them we were coming. Once they realize the ship never arrived, they'll send help, lots of it. Maybe, hopefully, Reiju whispered, mostly to herself. All right. Done. Sanji stood and clapped his hands together, proud of his work. Reiju glanced over her shoulder but didn't bother getting up. Saving her energy was more important. I've divided the rations into 20 portions, Sanji said, his voice turning grim. It means we'll have less than 1 meal a day for the next 20 or 30 days, but it's our best shot. He clenched his fist, trying to stay motivated. Luckily, those little depressions are full of rainwater. If we drink enough, it'll feel like we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Carefully, he placed the food into the bag and tied it to a nearby rock within arm's reach of where they'd spend most of their days. Then, he sat beside Reiju. A moment passed before he felt her hand gently rest on his shoulder. All we have to do now is survive the next 20 days. Help will come. No sweat. Reiju gave a soft, tired smile. I'm so glad my brother is so capable. Sanji turned to look at her, his lip trembling before he managed a big, proud smile, of course. 5th day. Scree asterisk crash, asterisk the cries of seagulls and the crash of waves filled the silence between the siblings. Sanji stood, shuffled to the puddles, and began drinking. Gasp, glug, 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 gasp, glug, glug, glug. Once he'd satisfied the aching void in his stomach with water, he returned to Reiju's side. If you're hungry, you can always have my share, Reiju said, still staring at the sea. Don't be stupid, *GRRMMMB. Sanji's words were cut short by the rumble in his stomach. He lowered his head in embarrassment. "Just 2 or 3 more days," he muttered. "Then we'll make it off this rock." He hoped, or else he might die of guilt rather than hunger first. 13th night. "Look, Sanji. Look." Through the torrent of rain, Reiju spotted the lights of a distant galleon. "I see it, Reiju," Sanji shouted, jumping up and down, his voice raw with excitement. "Hurry. Hold this piece of wood over me. I'll light a fire." Frantically, they scrambled to make it happen. Reiju struck flint again and again, sparks flying, useless against the soaked kindling. "No, no, no," she begged, trying in vain to coax the fire into life. "Reiju, Reiju, Reiju, Reiju." "What?" she snapped, overwhelmed and frustrated. Sanji flinched, then pointed out toward the sea. She turned. The lights were fading. "Wait." Reiju sprinted to the cliff's edge. Sanji grabbed her arms, keeping her from plunging over. "We're here, KSSHH, FWASH, RMMMB, please." Splish, splash, asterisk. "Wait, don't go. KSSHH, hey. FWASH, RMMMB, asterisk RMMMB, asterisk KSSHH." It was hopeless. Even if the storm hadn't swallowed her cries, the ship had already sailed too far to hear them. "Please, don't go," she whimpered, collapsing to her knees. Her stomach ached from hunger, but the ache in her chest was worse. Sanji dropped beside her, trying to hold her as his tears spilled. 28th day. It's been 15 days since that ship passed, Reiju thought, sitting beneath their flimsy shade. Her brother lay beside her, head resting in her lap. He looked skeletal. He hadn't taken the hunger as well as she had. "You idiot," she whispered, brushing the hair from his face as her tears fell freely. "That's why I told you to eat my rations." Only one meal remained. 33rd night. The sky screamed, thunder cracking through the heavens. The sea roared in reply, waves crashing against the rock like fists trying to tear it apart. Yet Reiju and Sanji didn't budge. Salvation was close. "I think they see us, over here." By some miracle, the wet wood sparked to life. And by some greater miracle, the fire caught the attention of a passing caravel. The ship drew closer with each crashing wave. They could almost taste salvation. Kr whoosh, kr crack, wog. A monstrous wave rose and slammed against the side of the ship, splitting its hull like paper. The vessel capsized. Screams echoed across the water, barely drowned out by the storm. Reiju and Sanji watched in stunned silence, eyes locked on the wreckage. Then, they looked at each other. Sanji chuckled, just once. Then it grew. "Ah, ha, ha," he collapsed on the ground, laughing like a madman. "Ah ha, 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 ha." Reiju followed, her laughter high and unhinged. "Oh ho, 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 ho." Together, they laughed into the storm, two siblings stranded at the edge of the world. Maybe the Warla here, together. If this was a joke, it was a cruel one, but it was theirs. 34th morning, 5 days since we last ate, Sanji thinks, staring out over the ocean's endless horizon. His mind drifts back to last night. It was right there, he scowled, jaw clenched. It would have been better if we never saw that ship at all, if that's how it was gonna end. A few stubborn tears slip down his cheek. He wipes them away, too harshly, maybe, blinking to refocus his eyes. That's when something catches his attention. Wah, there, barely visible, something's wedged in a crevice between the rocks. He glances back at Reiju, still sleeping, and then out to sea again. She deserves the rest. It's not like another ship's gonna appear and vanish in 10 seconds. Sanji climbs over the uneven stone toward the object. A small chest, wedged tightly between two jagged rocks. Its metal latch is broken, and beside it lies a heavy-duty padlock, dislodged by impact, no doubt. This must have been thrown overboard from last night's wreck. He lifts the chest with effort and examines the busted lock. Relief flickers in his chest. Lucky, something that doesn't need energy to open. He lifts the lid. What? Oh, Reiju, 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 wake up. What? She groans, eyelids heavy. She opens her eyes to find her brother shaking her like an excited puppy. Did something happen? she asks, voice cracking under the weight of half-dormant hope. You remember that ship last night? Her face sours instantly. How could I forget? She replies flatly. Well, Sanji lifts the chest he had set down earlier. I think the waves tossed this up onto the rock when the ship went down, and the lock must have busted off when it hit. Reiju sits up, suddenly alert. Oh my seas, just opened the box already. With a cocky grin, Sanji pops the lid. Never in a million years could she have predicted what lay inside. A devil fruit. Its skin was swirled with sickly shades, faded pink bleeding into moldy red. But what truly made her stomach turn was the fungi. Wide fungal plates clung to its surface like armor, with bulbous heads and twisted mushroom stalks sprouting at random. A fuzzy coat of mold blanketed the entire fruit, making it look like something left to rot in the back of a cellar. This looks disgusting, Reiju muttered, then burst out laughing. Oh ho ho, of course it does, her eyes gleamed, not just with amusement, but with something rare, genuine joy. For a moment, their awful reality slipped from her shoulders. Oh, so, how long do you think we can stretch this stuff? Reiju asked, sitting in front of Sanji while scanning the sea behind him. Sanji rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Well, if we peel off all the bulbs, stalks, and caps, those alone could last maybe 1 or 2 days. 3 if we ration. Then the fruit itself, 4 or 5, tops. Not counting the weird extra stuff. Reiju stared at him for a moment, then sighed deeply and smiled at the ground. Ha, I suppose that old man was right, in a way, she said. Sanji blinked. Huh? What do you mean by that? I guess we do have a modi of luck after all. She reached over and patted him on the head. He smiled and broke off a chunk of the fruit, hesitating a moment before breaking off another smaller piece too. He held out both pieces. Here, you take the first bite. What? No way. You found it. You should eat first. No, Sanji's voice came out firm, surprising her. A chef always feeds his patrons first. His tone wavered as he added, and if I hadn't asked you to come with me, sniff, you wouldn't be starving right now. Tears welled up in his eyes. It's all my fault. Reiju immediately pulled him into a hug, causing the fruit pieces to tumble from his hand. Have you been blaming yourself this whole time? Hick. I didn't mean for this to happen. If I weren't such a coward, if I hadn't begged you to come with me, SNFF, you wouldn't be stuck here. 34 days of buried guilt flooded out of him. Don't say that, Reiju shouted, voice cracking as tears streamed down her cheeks. I never liked Dad or our brothers. Honestly, I should be thanking you. Sanji blinked, stunned. If you hadn't dragged me out, I would have stayed stuck with those parasites. You gave me the push I needed to walk away. She smiled through her tears. If I had to be stranded on this, stupid with 2 O's, rock with anyone, I'm glad it's with the loser I'm stuck with now. Yuwa, SNRK, hick, ha, wah. I am so sorry. SNRRKK. HHH, sniff. Ha. NGHH. Ah. Just, SNFF. Just shut up. Hick. Don't blame yourself. Oh, after they composed themselves, the air between them had shifted, calmer, even grateful. So, do you still want me to take the first bite? Reiju asked with a playful glance. Sanji smiled. Yeah, you forgot already? A chef always feeds the patrons. He picked up the fallen pieces and gently brushed them off. Oh ho! Reiju chuckled. I hope your future patrons don't mind eating food off the ground. Nah. Sanji looked away, flustered. But then, more seriously, you know, if someone refused food just because it touched the ground, I might beat them up. Reiju paused, then smiled. Well, in that case, I'll be right beside you. She took the pieces from him. Hopefully it's not as bad as people say. She popped the pieces into her mouth, chewed once, then immediately turned away, hand over her mouth, visibly fighting the urge to gag. Sanji leaned closer, watching her reaction. How does it taste? Munch, gulp, Reiju exhaled like a corpse. Remember how long you said we could stretch this out? Yeah? Sanji asked, face full of dread. Double it, she said, dead serious. I don't think I can eat this every day without going insane. Sanji stared at her in horror. He could only sigh and mutter under his breath. Damn, 40th day. It'll come soon. Both siblings winced at their dwindling rations, the bitter taste of rot clinging to the roof of their mouths. 60th day. That devil fruit wasn't so bad after all. Reiju thought grimly as Sanji leaned over the depression again, his 6th drink that day. 80th day. Scree. Scree. Sanji glanced up at the seagull circling above, then dunked his head into the depression once more. Glug, 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 gasp, I don't know what I want more right now, he thought bitterly, to fly away like them, or eat them. 106th morning. Reiju felt like she was nothing but a stomach. Hunger pulsed through every nerve in her body. Her cheeks were sunken, her limbs thin, but compared to Sanji, she still looked alive. Sanji looked like a corpse that hadn't stopped breathing. His skin had gone ashen, hanging loosely off his skeletal frame. For the past 4 days, he hadn't been able to walk. Each day, almost a dozen times, Reiju cradled his limp body and poured water into his mouth with her hands. Yesterday, he came down with a terrible fever. He'd tried to throw up, but nothing came, not even bile. Now he just sweated and shook. She had already helped him drink 4 times this morning alone. If it weren't for that devil fruit, we never would have made it to day 100, Reiju thought, numbly stroking his head, trying desperately to find a silver lining. Reiju, Sanji rasped. Yes? I'm here, she snapped to attention, panic tightening her chest. I don't think I'm gonna live to see tomorrow, he murmured. There was no fear in his voice, only peace. Don't say stupid crap like that. Reiju's voice cracked. Her tears started before she even realized it. I can barely see your face right now, once night comes, it'll get cold. Then I'll hold you, just like last night, she pleaded, gripping his hand tightly. When I die, stop, I won't be mad, just shut up. If you decide to eat me, Reiju's mind broke. That line, those words, snapped the last thread holding her together. Bah! H-A-A-H-H-H. H-H-G-A-H-H-H. H-H-H. P please. SNRK. Don't leave me like this, she sobbed violently. She didn't bother wiping away the tears or snot, she couldn't. P please survive, and, sniff. Find the all blue for me, okay, hick. Sanji started crying too, but clenched his jaw, trying to hold it in for her. He felt her tears fall onto his face. Reiju stood slowly, cradling him on her back. What are you doing? Sanji croaked in alarm. The old geezer, if he's dead, maybe, she swallowed hard, voice shaking, maybe he left. Something behind, she climbed over the rocky ridge that separated their side of the island from Zeph's. Every step was shaky, but she forced herself forward. When she reached the top, her eyes locked onto a figure. Zeph, still upright, still breathing, and beside him, his bag, still full, just as full as the day they were separated. He's still alive, Sanji whispered in disbelief. Reiju stared, silent. Then her lip pursed. And look at all that food he's hoarding. She knew exactly what she had to do. Reiju climbed over the others and carefully navigated her way to the large bag of food. Look at it, Sanji, she whispered with awe. So much food. This is all his fault anyway, Sanji muttered, glaring at the old man. With all that food, we might end up with leftovers by the time a ship saves us, he added with a flicker of hope. What do you brats want now? Zeph grumbled without even turning around. You see a ship on your side. I came for your food, Reiju declared, stepping toward the bag. Try and kill me if you think you can. But I don't think things will go as well for you as they did last time. Zeph finally turned to face her, and froze. His eyes locked onto the rotted growth sprouting from her outstretched hand. It can't be, he gasped, wheeling around in full horror, unknowingly revealing his greatest shame. Reiju and Sanji's faces went pale. 2 tourniquets wrapped below the knees, and below that, nothing. Just ragged clothes hiding the raw stumps where his legs had once been. Reiju stumbled backward, nearly collapsing from the sheer shock. Desperate, she lunged at the bag and tore it open. Clang asterisk clang. Asterisk clung. Asterisk clang. Asterisk, clink, asterisk. Jewelry, beautiful, shining, useless jewelry, spilled out onto the ground. Wah, Reiju whispered, stunned. Your brother, hand him over. What? She shouted back in confusion. His life could be at stake. Hand him over, Zeph roared, rage flaring in a way they'd never seen. She rushed Sanji to him. Zeph held the boy close, pressing his forehead to Sanji's and frowning deeply. What's wrong with him? Reiju cried. Have you touched anything he's eaten? What? Or drank? Anything that's passed through you into him? Reiju blinked. Water? Sanji couldn't walk starting a few days ago, and I've been helping him drink. Why's that matter, old geezer? Sanji snapped, but froze when he saw Zeph's eyes. Zeph gently laid Sanji on the ground, away from Reiju. You're probably going to die soon, Zeph said. What? Reiju screamed. How the hell would you even know? My master, Zeph interrupted. The man who taught me to cook and to fight in the Black Leg style once told me a story. Reiju and Sanji stared, dreading what would come next. When he was a young outlaw, he cooked for an infamous pirate crew. The government tried to snuff them out early, sent a secret agent to wipe them from history. Sanji's voice cracked. You're not talking about Cypher Pole? Yes. To be exact, CP0. When they attacked, they didn't use guns or blades. They sent a single man to spread a terrible plague. One spread by butterflies and fungus. He glared at Reiju. No, she whispered, stumbling back in horror. Sanji's voice cracked again. You're insane. She's my sister. She'd never hurt me. Not on purpose, Zeph said. But she said something earlier. She ate the fruit recently. And if she hasn't learned to control it yet, maybe, just maybe, if that power seeped into your water. Sanji scrambled to find an excuse. Why, you don't even know if it's the same fruit. There are thousands out there. True. But my master never shut up about that power. Every grotesque detail. The cursed devil fruit that cost him his legs. Reiju collapsed, the truth finally breaking through. All this time, I thought you were a monster. Her voice cracked. You hoarded food while my brother starved. While I blamed you, HRK, thinking you were gorging yourself. Her knees hit the ground, but you gave him everything, ate your legs. Tears flooded down her face. And now, I'm the one killing him? The only good thing in my life? Og. It's not fair. I can't. I'm sorry. SNRKK. So sorry. It's not your fault. Damn it, Sanji screamed. I found that box. I made you eat first. Blame me. Suddenly, long, gangly arms pulled them close. Zeph wrapped the two children in a trembling hug. You stupid, rotten eggplants, he muttered. Didn't I tell you both? When the boy woke up, I said, be mad at me. Rage all you want. If not for me, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe we wouldn't be alive. But at least we wouldn't be blaming ourselves. SNFF. Why? Reiju sobbed. Why'd you save us? Why give up your food, your legs, your life? Sanji could barely speak. We hated you, we tried to kill you. Zeph placed a calloused hand on their head, because you had the same dream my master and I had. The kids looked up at him, stunned. But your crew mocked Sanji. Said the all blue didn't exist. Zeph smiled. It exists. Somewhere out there. We searched the Grand Line for a year, never found it. But what I saw convinced me it's real. I just lost the people I wanted to find it with. He choked up. They were good men, even if they didn't believe in dreams. Suddenly, Zeph collapsed. Hey, geezer, don't die on us. Yeah, you can't die now. Shut up, you damn eggplants. He groaned. Reiju, your brother. It's a long shot. But if you do what I say, he might live long enough to get off this rock. How? Go to him. Place your hand on him. Close your eyes. Reiju obeyed. Now picture your brother like an egg, one you cracked. Oh okay. Picture your devil fruit power as the shell. Most of it's inside you. But a shard, a piece, is stuck inside him. What? Just do it. She shifted her hands, slowly, until. I see it, she cried. Good. Now pick it out. Moldy tendrils slipped from her arms and touched Sanji's chest. Then, just as quickly, they retracted. Sanji sat bolt upright. That was amazing. I feel fine, like I was never sick in the first place. Reiju turned to Zeph. How did you know that would work? I didn't. What? Huh? I just had to try something, he said, now weakly smiling at her. Otherwise, you might have been the last one left. And judging by how you look compared to us, you could have lasted a very long time. Reiju flinched. It was true. She barely looked malnourished, while the others were half dead. Zeph exhaled. The ocean is vast and brutal. I wonder how many people died cursing it. How many lives it swallowed whole. He wasn't lecturing, he was remembering. There were so many times I thought I'd starve. And every single time, I'd think, if only there were a restaurant, right in the middle of the ocean. A restaurant? Sanji echoed. Yeah, if I survived this rock, I'm gonna build one. Using the fortune just behind us to do it. Even if it's the last thing I do. He turned to them, eyes blazing with one last ember of hope. Right now, we might be the sorriest crew this ocean's ever seen. But in this age of pirates, maybe we're the only ones who could ever bring that dream to life. Okay, we'll help you, Reiju shouted. Just don't die, easier said than done. Lass, he turned to Sanji. How about it, Eggplant? Think you can handle a few more days here? Or are you gonna make your sister do all the 121st day? Holy shish. Bring her around. Bring her around. There are people on that rock. I think 2 of them are kids. They're just lying there, are they even alive? We won't know until we get them on board. Now will we? All available hands, move.